Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Polaris session where we're going to be talking to you today about love and relationships, which is a very popular topic, one of my favorite topics, in fact. And together with me, you will meet our panel, our live panel. We have joining us from the safety and comfort of their own home. We have Delicia, who is our in-house family therapist. We also have Angie, who is an energy psychology practitioner with special interest in relationships. And we also have Mike, who is another one of our family therapists here at Polaris. We will be taking questions from all of you at any point. These questions will be answered anonymously, so please feel free to send your questions in either on the live stream or else through our inbox, and they will be answered anonymously. Obviously, no names or any disclosing identifying features will be given. Okay, so I think we can get started. We've already received some questions through the week, some very interesting questions, and we're going to kick off speaking about different facets and different aspects of love and relationships. So thank you for joining us, and we're going to get started. So Delicia, Mike, Angie, thanks for being here with us today. One of the questions we received, which I think would really give us a good kickoff, is what are the most important factors that make love and relationships last? So I find that a lot of people are after a sense of permanency in their relationships. So what would you say from your expertise and experience are these factors that make the difference between those relationships that last and those that don't? Who would like to start? Maybe Delicia can kick off.
Yeah, sure. So as you were saying, Cher, most of us, we are looking for that sense of permanency. And although we can explore a lot and find out a lot about love, it still remains a mystery. However, science nowadays is helping us a lot understand more about love. And I'm referring to a lot to attachment theory here and to a lot of research that was done there, which shows us that although there are many factors and they might be different because each couple might express their love in a different way, but the most people who are most satisfied in their relationship, it seems to all boil down to emotional safety. So it is like this emotional safety, knowing that there is this person that will not judge you, that if you have a problem, they will not leave you alone, they will not abandon you. It's like this emotional refuge that can give you some shelter from the storms of the world. And this is what gives you strength to explore the world, to reach your potential. And research is also showing us that people who have these kind of relationships, they are not only healthier emotionally and mentally, but also they are healthier physically. Okay, they heal more quickly from health problems and other. They are more resilient. So it's a lot about emotional safety that we can build with each other.
Okay, so maybe for those watching us, emotional safety, I don't know, is it a bit of a vague concept perhaps? How do we achieve emotional safety? What does it look like? What does it feel like?
If I may share, I think that emotional safety is a sense of a feeling rather than anything else. You know, when it's reached, one feels that he is in a good place with the other person. You know, and as Delicia said, actually, it is like when you are truly in a relationship that really adds something to you. You know, it adds value to you. You feel enhanced by what is happening, and I think that in reality um, uh, takes us back to feeling good, feeling better, actually having good energies and good vibes amongst in the couple, and not only in the couple but even in a group, in any relationship. You know, we need to extend our discussions from the partnership, you know, the one-to-one relationship, into even larger groups. When you have a group with whom you're working, and you can say, guys, I don't think this is right, and someone will take in your opinion and debate it and discuss on it. There is that synergy that comes across. If I may talk about one of the most important things that I like to talk about with the couples is the issue of fairness. Um, One of the theories in family therapy talks about this constant relationship, that we're having. And in order to feel safe, I think that in a couple or in a group, there needs to be a sense of. Now, the fairness isn't about who ate how much or who did this or who cleaned plates how many times, that is very basic. It is a sense of fairness where when I give, I receive. And this happens obviously much easier when there is emotional safety, obviously, because you can give, you can be vulnerable, and that in that way you will receive back and enjoy what you're receiving. But a sense of fairness, I deem, is extremely important. I do like to mention this because it is a very basic word. We're all kind of knowledgeable about it some way or another. And I think that, yes, fairness brings trust, brings emotional security. And if we relate in a fair way, I think that gives us a lot of harmony in the way we relate. Then obviously we need to judge, and that's what we do in therapy, or rather than judge, to see what fair means to each and everyone in the group. So because fairness is not equal, fairness is everyone putting in his share to the best of abilities.
I think, in fact, when we say the word, it is a very simple word, yes, and something we're exposed to from kindergarten, fairness. But in practice, it's not an easy task to establish a level of fairness. And in fact, I hear very often couples who are disgruntled because they feel they're giving more than the other, or they feel they're contributing more. So I think fairness is so important to us intrinsically in all aspects of our lives, but it takes hard work to achieve it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and something else, if I can add to what Mike is saying, is that what also helps love is a sense of commitment. So that when couples show that they are committed to each other, and these things can boil down to simple facts like making time for each other, giving out that helping hand, listening, validating, and also having a shared purpose, a shared dream, knowing that with this person, you can achieve something that is meaningful for you, that can support you, or else we end up seeing the person as an obstacle to our own dreams rather than as an ally. Yes, and friendship, I think one very simple thing is friendship. Having a sound friendship between couples is what keeps them coming to each other and referring to each other.
Absolutely. And I also love to encourage couples to do new things together. And I think this continues to develop the friendship. That is so important. Angie, would you like to add anything to this topic?
Yes, for me, in addition to what was already said, I would add as well, looking at the good sides of the other, because, in the beginning of the relationship, everything is nice, everything is a fairy tale. Then 6 months pass and we say like, oh, what happened now? We end up then finding things, making an internal list of things that we don't like about the other and wanting to fix them, wanting to change them. If we turn that around towards appreciating what's good about the other, what we love about the other, and we do it mutually, then things will stay nicer. Also, another thing from my experience, so for those who know me, I lived through a pattern of a codependency, which was very bad and I wasn't even aware of. It's also important to not lose ourselves in the relationship, keep true to ourselves. So it's important to keep caring for ourselves, keep following our dreams, yes, which is important, and not sacrificing ourselves for the other. So once we learn to do that, then we kind of don't look for fulfillment in another person, but we are already fulfilled within ourselves. And then from that place, we share this fulfillment with the other.
Absolutely. And we have a question coming in actually from our audience, which ties into all of this. And this person is asking, can a couple have a precise equal balance in a relationship? Or is it okay to have a couple with some form of misbalance in their relationship?
I do believe, I mean, going back to the fairness issue, I mean, it's important to clarify that it's not about equal. It's about today I can pull a bit more than you, and I will do it willingly. Tomorrow you are there and you can pull a bit on this matter or this issue, or because you're fresher than I am after a week's work, you know. And yes, maybe you will pull for us all, you know, kind of thing. It's this sense of knowing that the other person is there for you. Now, there are some relationships in which you always feel that you're like taking the load on your own. And yes, people do come to therapy because sometimes they feel that it is always them who have the role of pulling things through. But that is one of the most important um, uh, things to tackle. You know, what does it mean, fairness? And fairness means the ability to rely on each other, not one relying continuously on the other, you know, or we rely equally on each other and we're all attentive not to give a bit too much or end up, you know, receiving too much. It's that fluidity, you know, and the fact that, you know, I will receive a bit more this time round and then I will give, you know, I'll.
Yes, I think the word that comes to mind hearing you speak, Mike, is teamwork, actually, you
Yes.
know. So pulling aspects of the same rope at different times and different phases and different times of the day, you know, drawing on each other's strengths, as Angie was also mentioning. Okay, very good. Would Sarah, would you like to add anything further?
I'd like to add something on this as well. Also, it's important to find out within ourselves, because my work is really to find out what's going on inside of you first before relating. So when it comes to giving, like, ask yourself, like, what am I willing to give? Like, am I okay with this? Do I have the resources to give this much? And if not, and it could be that there might not be a solution. If not, communicate this with your partner, and maybe another solution will be found, which is of mutual benefit to everybody as well.
I love this. I love this mutual benefit kind of thing, you know, because that is kind of the principle that should lead us.
Yes.
You know, now again, you know, it shouldn't always be one of the couple or one of the group who needs to, I mean, make it easier for the others or benefit the others. You know, sometimes it's important that everyone pulls in. But you know, I mean, there are some aspects that maybe my partner doesn't have, and I know that that is my role in the couple or in the family. You know, and on other things that, you know, they take center stage on other things. You know, and this could be from merely the mundane, you know, the doing house chores and errands and going around with children to their many things, you know, that they have going on after school and stuff like that. Or nowadays staying with them because they're not going to school, you know. So that's part of it too. And actually, this reminds me that these balances do shift. They do shift according to the, the days we're going through, what we're going through as a society, as a whole, or what we're going through, you know, as a family. And for example, my ability to deal with my younger son and my wife's ability to deal better with my elder one, you know, in his teens and stuff like that. You know, so we could shift and change. It's a very fluid balance, you know. if something like that does exist actually.
Absolutely. I think so. What we're, to draw out all the salient points here, I think Angie is focusing a lot on the importance of communication and also, in a way, boundaries, clarifying what I need from you, what you need from me, what is okay and what isn't okay. And Mike, you're sort of really emphasizing, and Alicia, the importance of fairness. And it reminds me of a client that I worked with recently who was a finance banking kind of guy, so probably wouldn't be the most, his love language wouldn't be romantic of people, but he was searching for a relationship in which he could find equity. He used the word equity, which I thought was really interesting. He said, I have a lot to offer, but I'm not going to settle for a partner who does not give me equity. And I thought, what an interesting way of looking at it. So it is
The
really
banking part that came in, like equity.
And also to add to what Angie was saying, because I find that this is very important in couples, to know the boundaries of how much we can give, because sometimes when we give too much, then it could be that by time in the relationship, this balance of give and take is not kept, and people start getting resentful.
Exactly.
Exactly. We end up, I meet a lot of couples who give a lot, okay? The one partner gives a lot. She or he doesn't know their own personal boundaries, but then this creates this misbalance in the relationship, and there would be a lot of resentment, a lot of entitlement.
Definitely.
I think it's very good to keep this boundary as early as possible in the relationship.
It needs to be talked. I think that it needs to be talked.
He needs to learn.
It's the only way. That's the only way.
And it's important to say, I'm feeling tired, like, please help me a bit, this kind of little things, rather than continue struggling on your own, to keep things going and to keep things at best, and sometimes relationships are not at their best. So sometimes we survive through our relationships. We're engulfed with all the things that we need to do that are outside of the couple, and sometimes, yes, we survive through tough times, but it's important to communicate and say, like, usually I take care of this and this and this, but this time around I need a bit of a break, or I need you to take a bit more of a stronger role on this or the other. And I think that is the fluid balance that people feel secure that, when I will like take a bit of a back seat, someone else will take on, and the other person, she is doing it for us all. Maybe not as I like or to my usual standard, but it's for the interest and the benefit of all us in the family. So
that's so beautiful, isn't it, Mike? I think that's what makes it all worth it, worth setting up a relationship or a family system, knowing that when you have a moment of vulnerability or a moment of weakness, there's going to be someone next to you to pick up the pieces and to hold up the fort.
here, maybe as a male, I put things in a very rudimental ways, that is maybe the blessing that we get, but I always say that in a relationship, you be stronger and better, and you will go the extra mile if you know that you're in a better place being in the relationship rather than not. And that's when people start to question, like Delicia said, you become kind of a bit resentful, because when you start feeling that in this relationship you're not getting to be better altogether, then you start like questioning, you start calculating, you start questioning, why am I here, because this is not an improvement of over who I was. So, and in general, not on single occasions, like I used to do my clothes and now I'm doing the clothes of my husband too, and our children too, because there, if someone is doing the clothes, yes, he stands to lose or she stands to lose if they've got doubled up or tripled or quadrupled, in a household. But the fact is that on the longer term, do I stand to have gained?
Yes, many times this is not so easy because there are gender roles that sometimes are imposed on us, and also our family scripts. Sometimes if we have been always the giver in our family of origin, we go into a relationship, we have children, and then we end up all the time exhausted, all the time resentful, and sometimes the person wouldn't really know what's going on because they have assumed this role earlier on in life, so they wouldn't really be aware how much they are giving and how much depleted they are. They would be very angry most of the time because when we give more than we actually have, then we get angry with ourselves and with our part. So many times what me and Mike see when we work with families and couples, we also see how our own family scripts, sometimes we take them into the relationship, sometimes they are conflictual with our partner. And sometimes we need to really work on being aware of this and building a new script that fits more the couple and the new family.
Absolutely. I think from my experience, when the resentment starts to build up and the anger sets in, it also has quite a significant impact on the couple's sex life. And we have a couple of questions that came in about sex, and I think it would be important maybe if we can move on to tackling that topic. I have this question I think is very relevant to many. In a long-term relationship, we've been together for ages. I don't know what they mean by that, but a long time. We're living together. Things have fallen into a routine, and I feel they're getting a bit boring. There's no excitement, and the passion is dead. Is this normal? And are there any ways that I can bring the spark and excitement back?
Yes, it's a situation that many couples at times go through. So the person.
Hey, Delicia, if I may say, this is one of those situations that I describe as the symptomatic thing happening. You know, this is the getting the influenza, you know, but you're sneezing, and you say, you know, I'm sneezing. No, you're not sneezing. You're sneezing because you've got the influenza. You know, like this is the thing that really happens that makes you realize, you know, like something is going wrong. You know, this has been dwindling. This has been losing the magic. You know, but it's losing the magic because of something else. You know, so.
It reminds me a lot about what we said in the beginning, because boredom many times is a sign of a lack of connection. Okay, so I would maybe suggest to this couple to explore if they still look for each other when they have a difficulty or they have something to celebrate. Do they turn towards each other or do they turn away from each other? Are they still confiding? Do they still have shared goals and a vision for the many times we end up in a couple, maybe we end up doing our own things, and then we lose this emotional connection. And the more we lose the connection, the more we look for it in a hobby, in work, in our colleagues, and the worse it gets. So most of the time, this element of boredom could indicate that the emotional connection is not at its best. So maybe it would be helpful to start again seeing what has attracted you to your partner. What are the things that you like? Doing things together, confiding more in each other. I don't know.
To Angie's idea of keeping mindful of what we like about our partners and what attracts us to them. Angie, would you like to add anything to the topic of sex and keeping the sexual life active?
Well, yeah, there are things. No, I perfectly agree with what Delicia and Mike said. Absolutely. Yeah. Also, it's important to see a bit. Maybe explore the mindset of the couple. Like, is this boredom in the relationship only, or is it towards life in general? You know, that's something to explore. And there are various practices to do. For example, showing gratitude on a daily basis is a good way to raise the vibration, you know, and appreciate life more. Then there's an exercise which I really love. It's called the better feeling thought exercise. So you just complain on paper, and then you kind of gently write phrases on how you want things to be. with your partner, you know, and you slowly kind of move your mindset in that direction, and something that the couple can do together, you know. So try those things. But then if still there are issues, as Delisha mentioned, it could be that the couple does no longer share common goals. Yeah, it could be that they're growing in different directions, you know, so exploring all that, I'd say.
Also,
Mhm.
she gave me this thinking about external factors, you know. So sometimes things happen and we think that it's about the relationship only. It is not always about the relationship. You could, I mean, we refer to doctors, we refer to other professionals, psychiatrists, you know. There could be other issues, you know, that could be experienced by a person, you know, passing through a difficult period of time, some depression.
Especially now, it's couples are more under strain,
So there could be
definitely.
external factors that are influencing us, you know, in the relationship. And it's also important to give them some space um, to have an exploration. Like if I cannot really pinpoint something when I'm in therapy, you know, I would discuss with a couple, you know, to think about other things. There could be biological things going on. There could be just life events going on. Yeah, it's not like the fading of the couple. It's not always about that, you know. There could be menopause, there could be lots of things that could be complicating the sex life of a couple.
Pregnancy, birth of a new baby,
Yeah,
moving house,
totally,
stress,
totally, you know. I mean,
pandemics.
lots of stuff, you know, and some of the most serious stuff, you know, cancer, especially if it affects our manhood, or you know, I don't know, if organs like the breasts, you know, are impacted in females, you know, there could be these things that are really crucial that we have been through, and we're thinking because the sex like is failing us or we're not attracted to each other anymore. But there could be things going on. There could be hormonal, physical, and other changes that we need to explore too. So it is very important for someone who says that they've been going through all this period of time to talk with someone and explore a bit if it's an issue within the couple or other things happening that are influencing mood-wise or hormonally, something else.
So I think, like what we were all saying, is boiling down to introduction to the topic, Mike, when you said that the sex life is kind of the surface symptomatic experience of the couple. And if the sex isn't working, we really need to see what's happening underneath,
Yes, you have to.
and dig deeper and explore. So maybe this person was looking for answers like light a few candles, cook a nice dinner, take your partner
Those are the easier ones, you know.
out. But I don't think those are necessarily things we mustn't do, you know.
Yes, also good. That's not.
They go hand in hand, don't they? But I think, ways to please your partner, in all the kind of, I was going to say superficial, but they're not. They're meaningful too. In a more romantic way, maybe through gestures, but also to look deeper and communicate and see what's really going on within the couple, like you said, and in the couple's environment as individuals. We have many people watching. Thank you for this, and keep your questions coming in. It's really supporting us with this talk. Will we move on to another question, or is there something more you'd like to say about sex?
Move on.
We're good. All right. I have another question which has a sexual component to it, but this is a younger person. He or she, I have no indication, says, I'm 22 and I have never been in a relationship and I'm still a virgin. What's wrong with me? That's what they're asking.
Big question. She tells us. She better tells us or tells us.
I can add some things to this, because from what I see is that when somebody is afraid to enter a relationship, there are definitely certain fears going on. And it's either a fear of being engulfed in a relationship, or a fear of being rejected, you know, so there could be some fears going on. Yeah, so I'd say, as this person, and as well as Alicia mentioned, to look into the family scripts of this person, like where are these beliefs coming from that it's not safe to be in a relationship, and slowly work on these beliefs to turn them around, you know, and then slowly things will start to shift.
Well, because being in, I mean, one needs to understand what a relationship means to them, you know, like if it is this once and forever thing, it's one thing. But I mean, a short relationship with someone, giving it a try, having sex, is not really and truly, you know. That's why I said there's nothing wrong with this thing, being a virgin at age 22, you know, and not being in a relationship, you know. I mean, they're distinct things that we tend to mash up a bit too much and create this expectation, you know, like who says that a 22-year-old should have already had sex and should be in a stable relationship or should be in this or the other, you know. I mean, it's important that one gives space to himself, and obviously while still looking within and what is holding you back, you know. One could, I mean, accept the stage in his life, you know, and try to work and improve and create goals for himself, you know, like going out, finding new friends, you know, like reaching out to old friends I have with whom I can mingle again and surely get to know other people we didn't know, you know, within those groups, you know. So it
In
is.
fact, Mike, you just mentioned something really important, because I think there are certain basics that seem to be missed sometimes nowadays. So I meet quite a few people who say, you know, I really would like to be in a relationship. And then when I explore their lifestyle, there's really no room in that lifestyle for a relationship. And, you know, they might report to me that they're working a 60-hour week, that they don't go out, that they spend most of their time, you know, stuck to a screen when they get home. You know, they're not really investing in their interpersonal life. And I asked them, okay, what have you done in your life so far to provide the space for a relationship to enter your life? And then we start working on very basic things like, you know, you need to go out, you need to be exposed to the world, you need to, I mean, you know, obviously online dating is also very helpful nowadays, but, you know, I would even ask, have you tried online dating? Have you downloaded any apps that might support you to meet people? No, I'm not into those. No, I'm not into them. Like, there's some shame, for example, around it. So, you know, how do you expect to meet this person that you'd like to be in a relationship with? So I think some really basic things that are, you know, perhaps not being practiced as commonly as they used to. You know,
Yes,
now
also
totally
another thing I'd like to add is what are the underlying cause of not making space for the relationship? For example, are you feeling worthy of a relationship? Are you feeling lovable? Do you love yourself enough to feel worthy of being loved by another person?
Yes, absolutely. Delisa, you were going to say something also, and I rudely interrupted.
Okay, no, but it's very similar to what was going on. No, what really stayed with me is the last phrase that this person said, what is wrong with me? And you know, we take this position of judgment, we judge ourselves, okay? When from a position of judgment, many times we cannot really help ourselves. So I would also tell this person, listen, be compassionate with yourself. Everyone has their own timing. And you know, we don't really know, like Mike was saying, whoever said that at 22 you should be like this, or we need to respect our story, we need to respect our own timing. And very much in line with what Angie was saying, I would really suggest to this person to work on herself, on her self-worth. So when the time comes, she would be ready to get not into any relationship, but into a healthy relationship, a relationship that would respect her self-worth.
Absolutely. Another question just came in. Okay, so hi, I'm gay, by the way, and I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend for the last 8 months. Everything is going perfect except for one very important thing. He doesn't want to tell anyone that we're together. My boyfriend is still in the closet, and I am a person who likes to show affection in public, and this is obviously a no-no. This is very frustrating. Do you have any suggestions for me?
Quite a yes. I can feel the difficulty here because it's about the way we live love. Then like I do believe that what's happening here is that someone is feeling like becoming closeted out of this decision of his partner himself. It's like I cannot express my love. Obviously, I think that an element of the love itself is in understanding your partner's situation, where he's coming from, and the difficulties that he might be finding to come out himself. I mean, there could be family situations, and there could be other issues that are related to maybe giving out who he is at his place of work or with family members, or so there could be a plethora of issues arising that could be making him fearing this coming out. Obviously, one would still need to find a way how to talk to both of them, and obviously, first of all, creating this understanding, that and we're giving a bit of time to each other, and we're giving a bit of understanding to the other person's frustrations, because I'm frustrated, I cannot talk about it. Maybe he's frustrated because he's like he's being asked to come out with his family, for example, about this relationship, because eventually you'll have to talk about it, like with friends and stuff, and you're getting photos and posting on Facebook and social media, and it's hard to keep between the four walls. Let's put it this way nowadays. So the understanding each other and creating a common goal about how this relationship can still continue growing. And continue growing doesn't mean that continue growing either closeted or in a full-blown, all-out, kind of way, but finding a way how to come to a point where they can both enjoy the relationship. Because I feel like here they are a bit withheld, because of the situation. So we need to like embracing this difficult moment and still finding the beauty in it, not to get frustrated, as Delicia said, and becoming resentful because the other partner is not letting me experience the love. And then finding a way how maybe you can, yes, go forward. I mean, it's hard to keep closeted a relationship forever, So in some or another, maybe even his boyfriend knows that ultimately he will need to move on, and come out to enjoy the relationship to the full. But maybe time is a bit like the timing is a bit different for each and every one of us.
Yeah, so maybe something else that could maybe help. It's also he talks to his boyfriend about what are the fears, what are the biggest fears, and they try to explore these fears. It would help them to get closer, because when we can open up about our fears to someone and find understanding, that creates intimacy. And also there are agencies nowadays that help gay persons who have their own reservations about coming out. So this could also be a way how the boyfriend can take responsibility for this, because it is true that if this relationship remains in the closet for long, it might inhibit the growth of the relationship. So I would suggest to talk about these fears, because the fears of his boyfriend might be very real. Okay. And get support, take responsibility for it and get support. It's not something that is going to change in a day or two, it's a process. However, this process needs to start in some way or another. If we keep it under the carpet, it will damage the relationship in the long run.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's a classic situation where we have the needs of either party clashing with the needs of the other person. So I think the only way forward is really, as you're saying, communication, taking responsibility, negotiation, compromise, so and really, and like you said, Michael, so respecting the process. These are not things that are resolved overnight, but it's a journey, and sometimes it takes time. And would you like to add anything to this person's question?
Yes, actually, yes, because as you said, Cher, there can be an intermingling of emotions between the partner who can feel frustration that his boyfriend is not talking about the relationship openly, and the fears of the partner. So it could be that certain arguments may entail because the emotions of each get entangled into each other. So the problem is that when he is frustrated about his partner, he cannot make his partner take action, but what he can do is to take action within himself. So to explore what his frustrations are about, to resolve them. I work a lot with energy, so like some energy healing techniques, or by taking deep breaths, meditating, inquiring more within himself. And then from a place of calm and peace, then communicate, yes, as was mentioned, with the other, and to put then himself in his partner's shoes, as Delisha said, understand what's going on from his side. And from my experience, by doing that, by working on yourself, finding your peace, things tend to solve themselves out for the best of everybody. So yeah, that's what I would like to add.
Communication is really coming up strong here, the importance of
Yes, yes. Sure.
talking.
If I may add something, I mean, this sounds very much kind of a commonality, maybe in a common theme, the LGBTIQ kind of sphere. But let's not think it's something that happens in this relationship only. You know, some people introduce their partner at a much earlier stage than other would feel safe doing. We have um, uh, we have families nowadays, obviously, that are kind of, I already have my children, my partner already has her children, and we decide for us to be introduced to our children at different timings. So this goes beyond, and I'm saying it for people viewing this, because in composite families this tends to happen too. When can I be introduced to my partner's children? And the timings are different. They are different for the persons themselves. When would I feel comfortable to say to my partner, come home? And also when I will introduce my partner to my children or my family, or other people around me, the group of friends I have. So this is something that, I mean, set me thinking out of this kind of question, and I thank the person who really expressed this difficulty, because it is something that is being lived, I think, more than ever, especially in composite families, where you have families coming together rather than, like me and my wife building up a family. Sometimes nowadays we have um, uh, people who left relationships and have two children. Some of them are adults, so they might be expressing themselves about what they think about their partner. So, there might be a lot of negotiation to be done on this side of the couple first before being introduced to the other side of the couple. So these complexities, I think, we're seeing much more. I had some experience working with these kinds of families, and there a lot to manage. There is lots going on and a lot to manage.
Thank you, Mike. I couldn't agree more. I've just muted your mics, guys, because apparently there was a bit of feedback happening. So hopefully it will improve the sound. So as soon as you need to speak, just unmute yourselves, please. Okay, so we really have 5 minutes left. We're coming to the end, which is a strange time to fix the sound, but better late than never. So I'd like to take one last question, and maybe we can try and be a little bit more practical in this one, because as professionals, we tend to go a lot into our theory, and the practical element is a little bit forgotten at times. But this person, I think, needs some practical help. My partner and I just broke off our long-term relationship. I'm not doing well at all. I'm crying all the time. I feel like I can't breathe. I feel as if my whole life has been taken away from me and I have nothing left. I don't even recognize myself or who I am anymore. Please, what can I do to start feeling better?
Oh, can I start this one, please? Because it's exactly the type of people I'm working with at the moment. So
Ready, as they say, Anja.
yes, yes. When this happens, definitely it's a case of the person looking for feeling whole and complete from something outside of his or herself. So that is why then when the relationship ends, this person feels like there's nothing left. So the way to resolve this is to learn more, again, to build a relationship with yourself. Definitely, so to get to know yourself, to find out what you like, what you don't like, what are your dreams and goals, you know, and slowly start to build that. Of course, while acknowledging the feelings as they come up, yes. Sitting with these feelings, but not getting sucked into the feelings, you know, like once resolving the feelings, like, okay, you just go in, then dust yourself off and go for what you want. It was, yes, my experience when my marriage ended, even though I was the one who ended it. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, I went for a trip on my own for 2 weeks in Greece. Then I said, let me go to Thailand and Bali by myself. And I did that too. I bought myself gifts, you know, I went diving and everything started to shift, you know. So yes, I tell this person there is hope, you know, what you're looking for, and you are the one you've been waiting for.
In fact, and what you just said, interestingly enough, we started off the question of how to make a relationship with another last and beautiful. And I think what you're saying is, if you experience a breakup and you happen to be single, build a relationship with yourself and do all those things you used to do to make the other person happy, to make yourself happy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm not saying that this person will never have a relationship again, but then when the new relationship comes, then the other person will say, wow, this person is really cool, really interesting. I really want to hang out with him or her, you know?
Yes. I really also feel the need to acknowledge, though, that breakups can feel like a really big loss, and you know,
There's bereavement there.
There's grief. The grief has to happen. Yes, of course.
it's not an overnight thing. Again, it's the process, and so I would really urge this person to be patient and give themselves time. And when we genuinely love and we truly love, the sort of the time it takes to get over this experience is actually the evidence of how much we loved, you know. So I think it's important to also appreciate and respect this process. And when I hear people saying things like, oh, you know, get over her or get over him, move on, and plenty of fish in the sea, and I know it's things people say in their attempt to make others feel better, but the reality is everyone needs their own time to grieve and to heal and to learn to love themselves.
Can I add something to that? Sure. Yes, so I can't agree more with what you said, that this is a loss. And when we have invested a lot in a relationship, we feel that we have lost part of our identity because the relationship becomes part. And she also said that sometimes she feels she can't breathe. So it could also be that there are emotions that need to come out. Something I would really suggest to this person on a practical level is to connect, okay, to connect with friends, family. If she needs to go for professional help, Because when we are going through such a big loss, the worst thing is if we go through it on our own. So I would really urge her to connect, to find support, and to be patient, because the bereavement has to happen. The mourning needs time, and it is in the mourning that you heal. It is in this process that you heal. So I really would like to suggest to her to look for help with friends, sports, and to connect.
If I may add, share, obviously, as my colleagues are saying, it is a very awkward period of time to live, but it is also very, very important. And I do find it important even for the future of the person and for other relationships. You know, sometimes relationships can get to be a bit toxic without knowing, you know, and maybe if you know and you're the one to leave, as Angie said, you still feel burdened by it and you still carry some of it to the next relationship. And on this note, I would also like to mention the fact that it is important to have this period of time maybe on one's own, not to bounce off into other relationships just because of what just happened to me, rather than because of where I want to go. So this is a very, you know, tough period of time. That is why we need to look for friends and people who can support us, professionals, as Delicia said. Angie talked about friends, about things that give us pleasure, you know, things that lighten us a bit, and our moods. But it is a very important period of time that one has to go through. I strongly believe that it is where you really and truly stop, analyze a bit what happened, because some of the times we're, you know, like the days go by and we're engulfed in what in the relationships and in what's happening, and take stock. And most importantly is, what have I learned? What have I learned about myself and my needs in a relationship? And what have I learned about my partner? My next one should not have this quality. My next one should have this important quality for me, you know, to be the better person for me. So it is a very difficult time to live, especially if you're living by yourself. So not being only by yourself, but also looking at it as, what is my learning experience, you know? Like, rarely ever anyone has been in a relationship and lived through it all through his life. We change, we meet new friends, we meet new colleagues, we meet new partners, but we always learn, you know, what's suitable for me, what is okay for me, what are the no-nos for me, you know, sometimes we learn those too. So you
Yes.
learn to know yourself from past relationships.
And I really like to use the expression, you know, uh, how is it? Smooth seas never made for skillful sailors. So I think, you know, breakups, as difficult as they are, can be pivotal and really meaningful learning experiences for us all. And we all go through them, all of us, every single one of us. Okay, that brings us to the end of our live panel today. Thank you very much to our experts, Delicia, Angie, and Mike, for joining me, for joining us. Thanks to the audience for tuning in. It was really great to see so many of you watching and sending in your questions. I think this is a topic that we can never exhaust, and we can speak about it forever. But unfortunately, we've run out of time. So please tune in again. We'll be back soon with another live panel, and we'll see you then. Thanks a lot. Bye. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.